Earlier this week, a Kansas City sports writer by the name of Jason Whitlock made headlines when he blamed a lack of gun control for the death of a Kansas City Chiefs player, Jevon Belchers, who killed himself and the mother of his child on Saturday. A day later, Whitlock called the National Rifle Association the new KKK. Tonight, we take a look at the NRA and the KKK's history together. It's one that might surprise you in tonight's reality check. The day Whitlock wrote that article, Bob Costas quoted part of it during Sunday Night Football, specifically the part that blames a lack of gun laws for the deaths. But a day later, on Roland Martin's podcast, Whitlock said this.
I did not go as far as I would like to go because my thoughts on the NRA and America's gun culture, I believe the NRA is the new KKK.
Wow.
And that the arming of so many black youth and loading up our communities with drugs and then just having an open shooting gallery is the work of people that, obviously don't have our best interest.
And that charge is a very strong one. The statement by Whitlock indicates that the NRA is arming black youths so they can kill each other. Where Whitlock is correct is that there is history between the NRA and the KKK. Where he is wrong is which side of history these two groups are on. In his 1962 book, physician and civil rights activist Robert Williams explains how in 1957 in Monroe, North Carolina, the Klan terrorized black families, shooting up neighborhoods regularly. That was until Williams, a former Marine, volunteered to lead the Monroe chapter of the NAACP and founded a 60-member NRA chartered rifle club called the Black Armed Guard. In fact, in the 1960s, the National Riflemen's Association stood up for the gun rights of black Americans. Those Americans arming themselves in areas across the South where the Klan were terrorizing people. As for gun control, there is a racist history that goes back into the 1700s and actually predates the founding of America. 1751, the French Black Code required Louisiana colonists to stop any blacks and, if necessary, beat any black carrying any potential weapon, such as a cane. After Nat Turner's rebellion in 1831, Virginia's response was to prohibit free blacks from, quote, keeping or carrying any firearm of any kind, any military weapon, or any powder or lead. Well, here in Ohio, in 1920, the Ohio Supreme Court upheld the conviction of a man of Mexican descent for a concealed carry of a handgun while asleep in his own bed. The dissenting Ohio judge wrote that laws in Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, Kentucky, New York, and here in Ohio had been designed, quote, for a decisive purpose to entirely disarm blacks and Hispanics, end quote. So what this means for you is that while Jason Whitlock seems to be trying to raise the conversation about violence in America, and that's not a bad thing, the question is, does it raise the conversation to call the NRA the KKK? Does it raise the conversation to infer that guns in the hands of black Americans means more violence? To do so would also infer that black Americans who own guns only possess them for violent purposes, rather than including the truth that many black Americans own firearms as an exercise of their Second Amendment rights and for self-defense. And that is Reality Check. Probably a lot of thoughts on this story. You can find sources for that story posted on our website at fox19.com. And if you'd like to make your voice heard, we'd love to hear from you. You can head over to my Facebook page. You can find it by searching Ben Swann.